I love my Gibson ES339, playing rhythm and lead, but the acoustic guitar, well, it's got a tone all of its own. But the question is, which acoustic to record with? And when it comes to laying down a rhythm track, what type of guitar would you choose? Hello viewer, my name's Stu, and if you're not familiar with this video series, I recommend you go to my guitar channel playlist and start at video number 1, which covers my journey back to playing guitar after a 40-year hiatus, and I cover all kinds of guitars, amplifiers, pedals, and lots more. And in this series I continue my recording journey, and in time we'll see where that takes me. And I've been answering various questions in my Q&A video playlist and an unboxing products playlist, so do check those out. Of course, if you subscribe, you get notified of new content when it's put up, and that tends to be every Friday around about 5 p.m. And a quick reminder, you can, if you prefer, drop me a private email at stuguitarchannel@gmail.com. Okay, so the journey, writing and recording music, and you'll have seen that the electric guitar has captured the limelight to date, and so to speak, it has been my guitar of choice. But don't think for one moment that acoustic guitars have no place in this musical journey. Probably for many young kids of my era, the 1960s, who gravitated towards the guitar, it would have been an acoustic guitar that would have been the first point of contact. And for me, it began with my older brother making me a guitar out of hardboard when I was around 3 years old. And then later on, at 8 years old, I would get a small parlour-sized guitar for Christmas. Now, I'm left-handed, and I turned the guitar upside down. And since no one was musical in my family, tuning a guitar, well, that wasn't considered. And so needless to say, those early years of making a joyful noise soon became frustrating and boring. And it would be much later, at around 13 years of age, that I would get my first guitar lesson on a borrowed full-size acoustic guitar with the proviso that I learned to play right-handed. Just think, with all the political nonsense we have going on today, forcing me to learn to play guitar right-handed? Do you think that would constitute a criminal offence? Probably today. Joking apart, very quickly the electric guitar would soon usurp the acoustic guitar, which would have no place in my early performing years. However, in 1984, having walked away from the world of heavy rock music and ear-splitting Marshall stacks, I found a new creative outlet in the world of commercial photography, which led me to international travel, numerous experiences, and learning many skills. And it was during that time I also started attending a local Christian church. Yes, you heard me right. Which again, in time, would take me on another extraordinary journey. Indiana Jones, eat your heart out. And all of this was in a bid to finding answers to life's deepest questions. And in another video, we'll look at that topic. What inspires you to play or to write songs? Because for me, back in the 1970s, it was my struggle with poor health, pain, near-death experiences, and so, of course, hopelessness. And that all inspired me to write and to perform. Quite a common theme, really, with a lot of musicians. But leaving that world behind, I began searching for answers that would start a whole new world of inspiration for songwriting. So, the first acoustic guitar. Now, very shortly, we're going to be looking at two guitars that I use in recording. They're very important for laying down rhythm tracks in particular. In fact, we're going to be looking at three. There's another wee one in there that you'll be seeing. And I've already covered one, and that's the 339 here. And the other particular acoustic guitar that was interested me, suitable for cutting well in a busy mix. But before we look at this particular guitar, I thought some of you might be interested in a most peculiar, very short guitar story. Around the late 1980s, on a Sunday morning, I had just walked out of a local church that I had begun attending, when a young lady came running up to me and told me that God had impressed upon her to give me a gift. Yes, that was quite a shock for me as well, particularly in the middle of the street. And also that I was to read a passage from the Bible, which was on her heart. She wanted me to know. And now I'd only just started reading a Bible, and it was in the Old Testament, Book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 2, which reads, "He lifted me up from the pit of despair. Out of the miry clay, he set my feet upon a rock and made my footsteps firm. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God." Well, considering the lifestyle I had walked away from, those words were so profound, and indeed they struck a chord, and no pun intended. The young lady then proceeded to hand me an acoustic guitar, and here it is. Somewhat beaten up looking, yet it has a beautiful tone, and for many years I would go on to write many, many songs on this particular instrument. Now, that wasn't the last time I received a guitar like that. About 6 months later, a young man came up to me, handed me a beautiful Ibanez electric guitar, and again absolutely insisted that I receive this as a gift from God, and under no circumstances should I refuse it. Again, that was a real shock for me. I really found this hard to take it. But I went on to use that instrument in a supportive backing role to a number of Christian worship performers and in recording sessions, but that's another story. So back to the present. As I returned to recording today, I found the need to have a guitar that I could use specifically for rhythm tracks. And while I find the Gibson ES339 a great guitar for certain aspects of what I'm looking to achieve, I knew that an acoustic with a bright and crisp tone was what I was looking for, and so my interest was drawn to the Taylor brand of acoustic guitars. Now, I'm aware of those who love Taylor guitars and those who are not so keen on them for various reasons. However, for what I was looking for, the tone, it just sounded like it was going to fit the bill. And once again, the doorbell rang and I took delivery of a Taylor 814CE Grand Auditorium Electro Acoustic guitar. And I got this on a very good sale offer, so I was very pleased about that. And on opening the case, you find that the guitar is a snug fit in a very good quality case, and the guitar itself, I'm pleased to say, arrived in perfect condition. It has a Sitka spruce top with Indian rosewood back and sides. And a really nice comfort bevel on the edge. It has a mahogany neck. It has a rosewood fingerboard and there are 20 frets. And as you can see, it has the cutaway for higher access reach. Not really a consideration for me, but I do like this type of design. It has the ES2 acoustic pickup and preamp system, so you can plug directly into an amplifier, and I'm going to demonstrate the differences in sound quality when going direct from guitar into an amplifier compared to miking it up. As with all acoustics, particularly when they're an expensive item, you need to look after them, particularly in the first years of ownership, as the woods are susceptible to environmental changes. And here you can see I have a moisture humidity meter which fits in between the strings to tell me what the humidity levels are inside the guitar, and a 40 to 60% humidity scale is where it's recommended to be. Now in some cases you may use a distilled water pack to add moisture if the guitar is drying out. And if there's too much moisture in there, then you need to put in perhaps a bag of crystals to soak up the moisture. Now, if you're new to this, it's important to be aware that new acoustic guitars can really suffer badly if they're not looked after. So do check that out. So it's a beautiful guitar, and once again another reason for my purchase. Just like the brand Gibson, Taylor has a strong brand name, love them or hate them, and thereby resale should be fairly good. So these things, they may not be a consideration to you, but as I mentioned in previous videos, due to my long history of buying and selling professional media production equipment, when it comes to relatively expensive instruments, well, resale is always going to be a consideration for me. So let me know in the comments how you see the purchase of equipment. Do these things matter to you or not? So acoustic guitars. In regard to miking up or direct line in via an amplifier, or perhaps straight into the computer system itself, is there any difference, and what are the pros and cons? Before I play you a side-by-side comparison, let's look at the pros and cons. The pros of miking up, as long as you have the appropriate gear to do that. This is important. Number one, you will allow the guitar to acoustically speak out as it was intended to. Number two, you could choose different types of mics to capture nuances of tone, including ambient room tone. But once again, choice of microphones is important here. It does make a difference. Number three, you could mic up going into an amplifier that you really particularly love the tone of, and thereby you add further tonal choices. And of course, you can also add effects pedals. Now, what about the cons? Well, you may not have a soundproof environment, and outside noise pollution, well, that could be a problem for you. Number two, you may not have appropriate mics that can do the guitar justice. Now, that's really important. I'm going to be using a Sennheiser 416 broadcast microphone. It's not the ideal microphone. So number three, there's a lot more that you need to take care with to get a good, clean recording. What about direct line in from the guitar's own built-in system? The pros. Well, number one, nice and simple, plug and play. Number two, if the guitar's inbuilt system is up to the task, then you can get a really good clean recording that gives a pretty close impression of what the guitar sounds like acoustically, particularly if it's been mic'd up really well. What about the cons? Well, number one, if the system inbuilt within the guitar is not up to the task, then the sound tonal quality will be a disappointment. Now, there can be many other factors involved here that some would consider a pro and a con. So if that's you, please do chip in and give your own experiences in the comments below. It's a big subject, and again, personal tastes, they play a big part in choices that we all make. Okay, The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as someone said. Here is the Taylor 814 CE mic'd up. And here is a direct line in via a Fender twin reverb amplifier without any reverb. Now, what we have here are some quick tonal samples showing the differences between the Taylor 814 and the Gibson 339 and also a Fender Telecaster. And they're all going through the Fender twin reverb without any reverb. Okay, now I've not adjusted any of the controls. Of course, that does make a difference to the sound. I've kind of just left things fairly general just to make this video fairly quick. So it will give you an idea of what things sound like. So I hope that proved to be helpful. Do comment below and let others know of your experiences and how you go about recording. In the next recording video, I come to the point where it's time to take an idea that I've written and bring it to life. And for that, we look at the topic of inspiration. What motivates a person to want to create something? And that's where you often need to dig down deep inside to bring forth a story. And that may invoke feelings of joy or of deep sadness. So do drop me a message if you want me to expand on anything. Please do subscribe to get notified, ring the bell, like and so on, because it all helps the algorithms for the channel. And please do share your own experiences below, whether a newcomer, an ongoing player, or like me, just an old hand returning to guitar playing. Now, I always take time to engage with folks who take time to comment. So, until next time, the journey recording music continues. Take care.